Picture a press conference room. Bright lights, microphones lined up across the table, reporters ready with their questions. An athlete walks in fresh off competing at the Olympics. She just won a silver medal. Not her first Olympic medal. Not her second. Her fifth. 5 Olympic medals across 2 games. She is 22 years old. And a reporter raises their hand and asks, "So, do you see your 2 medals here as silvers earned? Or as golds lost?" The room goes quiet for half a second. And then she answers. Calm. Direct. No hesitation. "I'm the most decorated female freeskier in history." I think that's an answer in and of itself. She pauses. Then she adds, "The 2 medals lost situation, to be quite frank with you, I think is kind of a ridiculous perspective to take." Clip cuts. Clip goes viral. Within hours it is everywhere, reposted, clipped, duet, debated. The official Olympics Instagram account shared it. Even they said they could not have said it better themselves. But here is the thing. That 30-second clip? It is only interesting if you know everything that came before it. Because Eileen Gu's story is not just a press conference moment. It is one of the most genuinely complicated athlete stories of this entire generation. And almost nobody tells the whole thing in one place. So let us do that right now. Eileen Gu was born on September 3, 2003, in San Francisco, California. She grew up in the Sea Cliff neighborhood, one of the most expensive and picturesque parts of the city. Her father is American, a Harvard graduate. Her mother, Eileen Gu, is a first-generation Chinese immigrant who came to America, got her master's degree at Peking University, then earned another degree at Stanford's Graduate School of Business. Single mom, overachiever, clearly passed both down to her daughter. From the time Eileen was 3 years old, she was skiing. Her mom had actually worked as a part-time ski instructor at Lake Tahoe. By 8, Eileen had joined a free ski team. By 9, she won her first national championship. 9 years old. She was not a prodigy in the romantic, unexpected sense. She was a prodigy in the way where everybody around her knew it from day one, and the only question was how high the ceiling would go. She went to private school in San Francisco, graduated a year early, scored 1580 out of 1,600 on her SAT, first student in her school's history to graduate early. And earned early admission to Stanford University, her mother's alma mater. She also spent every summer as a kid attending cram school in Beijing. She spoke fluent Mandarin. She had 2 countries, 2 cultures, 2 worlds, and she was comfortable in both. That background matters enormously for everything that happens next. In 2019, Eileen Gu was 15 years old. She was already one of the most promising young freeskiers in the world, competing for the United States national team. And then she made an announcement that genuinely shocked the sports world. She was switching. She would no longer represent the United States. She would compete for China. The internet's reaction was immediate and loud. People called it a betrayal. Others called it a business decision. A lot of people called it both. There were questions about whether she had renounced her American citizenship. A question she has never fully answered in public, because China does not officially permit dual citizenship, which added a whole other layer of speculation that has never fully gone away. But here is what Eileen herself said about why she did it. And this part often gets lost in the noise. She said that growing up in America, she had so many role models to look up to. Athletes who looked like her, inspired her, showed her what was possible. But in China, she felt there were far fewer of those figures. Especially for young girls in action sports. She felt that if she competed for China, she could be something that more young people in that country had never really had, a homegrown feeling champion who looked like them and showed them what they could achieve. She was 15. That is what she said. And whether you believe that was the whole reason, or whether endorsement deals and the Chinese market factored in, which, to be fair, they clearly did later. That was the reason she gave. And it is worth taking seriously before dismissing it. Fast forward to the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Eileen Gu, now 18, is competing in the country she chose. On Chinese soil. In the capital city. With the whole country watching. And she delivered. She became the first freestyle skier in history to win 3 medals at a single Winter Olympics. Gold in big air. Gold in halfpipe. Silver in slopestyle. In 1 Games. At 18. She became the youngest Olympic champion in freestyle skiing history. China went absolutely wild for her. She was on billboards. On magazine covers. She had millions of followers on Chinese social media. She was called the Golden Girl. She was a phenomenon. In America, the reaction was more complicated. A lot of Americans watched her win gold after gold and felt the sting of it. A California girl, a Stanford admitted student, winning medals for a country that many Americans view as a geopolitical rival. The frustration was real. The discourse was loud. And then she enrolled at Stanford. That is the part people forget. After the 2022 Olympics, Eileen Gu started her freshman year at Stanford University. Not in Beijing. Not in Shanghai. In Palo Alto, California. She joined Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority. She declared a major in international relations. She later did an exchange program at Oxford. She is, in every practical sense, living the life of an American college student. While simultaneously being a Chinese Olympic champion with a massive following in a country many of her classmates' parents view as adversarial. And that tension did not stay abstract. It got physical. In an interview with The Athletic published just days ago, Eileen revealed what life at Stanford has actually been like since her China decision. She said she was physically assaulted on the street while on campus. The police were called. She received death threats. Her dorm room was robbed. Parents of Chinese American students at Stanford reportedly launched a petition to keep her out of the school entirely. She said, and this is striking. I've gone through some things as a 22-year-old that I really think no one should ever have to endure, ever. This is someone who at 15 made a decision about which flag to ski under. And at 22 she is still paying a personal price for it that goes way beyond criticism in the comments section. Physical assault. Death threats. A robbed room. At a university. Whatever you think about her choice, that is not a proportionate response to an athlete choosing which country to compete for. Now add money to all of this, because it is part of the story whether people are comfortable with it or not. Eileen Gu reportedly earns around $23 million a year from brand endorsements. That puts her as one of the 4 highest-paid female athletes on the planet, ahead of Naomi Osaka, ahead of Caitlin Clark. The bulk of those deals come from Chinese companies and the Chinese market. She is the face of Anta, a major Chinese sportswear brand. She has been featured in Chinese luxury campaigns, Chinese beauty ads, and Chinese tech partnerships. Her social media presence on Chinese platforms, where she goes by her Chinese name Gu Ailing and her nickname, the Frog Princess, is massive. The combination of American upbringing, Stanford education, and Chinese endorsement empire has made her genuinely unlike any athlete who has ever existed. She is not simply an athlete from one country. She is a brand that straddles 2 countries in a way nobody had fully figured out how to do before her. And in a geopolitical moment where that straddle is more controversial than it has ever been. Which brings us to the 2026 Milan-Cortina Olympics. And why this press conference moment landed the way it did. Coming into these games, Eileen Gu was not just defending Olympic glory. She was under a microscope that had not gotten any smaller since 2022. If anything, it had gotten bigger. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance weighed in publicly, saying that someone who grew up in America, benefited from American education and freedom, should want to compete for the United States. He said he would be rooting for athletes who identify as Americans. That is the Vice President of the United States commenting on a 22-year-old skier's country of representation. She was asked about Trump criticizing a different U.S. Olympic athlete. She handled it with a sentence. "I'm sorry that the headline eclipsing the Olympics has to be something so unrelated to the spirit of the Games. Clean. Measured. Non-combative but completely clear." Then she competed in big air. Second place. Silver. Then slopestyle. Second place. Silver. 2 events. 2 silvers. Going into each event as one of the top favorites. And the narrative that started building in certain corners of the internet was predictable. She choked. She bottled it. Beijing was a fluke. The golden girl is not so golden now. So into the press conference she walks. 5th career Olympic medal counting. Most decorated female freestyle skier in Olympic history. And a reporter looks at her and asks, was it 2 silvers earned, or 2 golds lost? The question sounds neutral. It is not neutral. It implies that winning 5 Olympic medals is somehow a disappointment. That second place twice is a failure. That the bar for her has been set so high that silver is the same as losing. And Eileen Gu did not flinch. I'm the most decorated female freeskier in history. I think that's an answer in and of itself. Then she explained it in a way that very few athletes, at any level, in any sport, have ever articulated so clearly in real time. Winning a medal at the Olympics is a life-changing experience for every athlete. Doing it 5 times is exponentially harder. Because every medal is equally hard for me, but everybody else's expectations rise. That is the trap that elite athletes fall into that nobody talks about enough. The better you get, the less credit you receive for being good, because good is now the expectation. Excellence becomes the floor instead of the ceiling. And the moment you fall short of perfect, even slightly, it registers as failure in the public conversation. She named it. Out loud. At a press conference. In real time. While the cameras were rolling. And then she closed it. The 2 medals lost situation, I think, is kind of a ridiculous perspective to take. I'm showcasing my best skiing. I'm doing things that quite literally have never been done before. And so I think that is more than good enough. But thank you. The but thank you at the end. Effortless. The kind of thing that is genuinely hard to pull off without sounding sarcastic. She pulled it off. The internet split almost immediately. One side, large aloud, said she was absolutely right. That the question was condescending. That winning Olympic silver 5 times is an achievement that 99.9% of athletes on Earth will never come close to. That the framing of the question was unfair and she called it out perfectly. The other side said she came across as defensive and arrogant. That athletes with her platform should handle pressure questions with more humility. That the confidence she projects does not land the same way for everyone. And both reactions are part of why this is so viral. The clip does not just generate admiration. It generates argument. And argument is the engine of the internet. Everybody has a take. Everybody shares it. Everybody watches the clip again to form their opinion. So here is where things sit right now, heading into her 3rd event of these games, the halfpipe, which is where she won gold in Beijing. She has 2 silvers. She needs 1 more medal to end these games. Halfpipe is arguably her strongest event. The pressure is the same pressure it always is for her, enormous, layered, geopolitical in a way that no other athlete at these Olympics has to deal with. But she has been here before. She has been 15 and making a life-altering decision with cameras watching. She has been 18 and competing in Beijing with the weight of an entire country on her. She has been a target of death threats and physical assault and dorm room break-ins and petitions from strangers who have never met her. She has been asked impossible questions about identity and loyalty and money and heritage and country since she was a teenager. And she keeps showing up. She keeps skiing. She keeps winning hardware. And she keeps answering the hard questions with the kind of precision that makes reporters regret asking. Whatever you think about Eileen Gu's decision, and people have very strong feelings about it, which is not going away, the press conference moment tells you something real about who she is. Not the China version of her. Not the Stanford version. Not the $23 million endorsement version. Just her. She is someone who made a decision at 15 that she has refused to apologize for. She has paid a real price for it, not just in public opinion, but physically and personally in ways she should never have had to. She has competed at the highest level in the world, twice, and collected 5 medals doing it. And when a reporter tried to reframe her success as failure, she did not get emotional, she did not deflect, and she did not collapse. She corrected the record. Politely. Precisely. With a "but thank you" at the end. That is the clip. That is why it went viral.